you've been multiple times on Up Only. You've been quite a figure on crypto Twitter, and you've been a longtime friend of mine. And I was kind of wondering, like, could you give like a brief introduction about who you are, why you are on crypto Twitter, how you got here, and what you're doing at the moment?
God, how did I get on crypto Twitter? I think I got on initially because I was trying to figure out why I was losing money for so many years. Um, I started following some of the sort of regular CT people that I've ended up becoming friends with now, which is kind of cool. Um, but yeah, I had no really real intention of ever sharing any ideas. But I got sort of persuaded and motivated by a friend called Timeless Being, who you might remember or know.
I'm actually still in contact with him.
Yeah, yeah, he's a good dude. He basically told me I made sense sometimes, and I should tell other people things, which is what I
So
did.
you still make sense sometimes, but not all of the time.
I don't think I make any sense anymore, actually. Um, and it's probably a good thing, I think. I just post occasional cat pictures now. Stay
Yeah,
out of trouble.
about cat pictures, by the way, I find this very interesting because I know, but not a lot of people do. Like, your profile picture and your identity is a cat on Twitter, but there is something about you and cats that doesn't really match, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it's true. Do you mean I don't have a cat?
No, I mean something else. Aren't you allergic to cats?
Oh, uh, yes. Actually, it's not as bad as it used to be. But yes, I am. It's dogs generally that kill me. So, um,
That's kind of interesting to hear that you're allergic to reaction to cats went down, and for dogs it went up. Is it like since you had a girlfriend that like the allergic reaction went down for cats?
possibly, yeah, yeah. It might just be because I post them. Maybe they must be aware of my sort of fondness of
Maybe
them.
maybe they grew on you, and because of
Yeah,
that you grew a resistance, like a
y-
digital resistance.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I find it so interesting because you came so quickly on the scenes. Like I remember you and me talking since you had like 400 followers or something
Hmm.
like that on Twitter, and well, not to talk badly, but you were a very small account, and then you suddenly skyrocketed from like this super small account that was posting cat pictures, which, no offense, isn't like a unique thing to do because we have many people that are doing that, and then you skyrocketed to popularity
Yeah,
with market insight, and also I think you had like 3 or 4 or 5 appearances on Up Only, which is quite an achievement,
yeah,
especially in the crypto space.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think it was much easier back then to post authentically. So, um, and I was kind of in the process of learning myself at the same time. So I was just kind of showing what I was learning. Um, but I think it was like a good mix of what, like timing the market, right? Obviously, it always helps. But then it was like, I think it was information that people hadn't really got yet about microstructure and auction market theory, kind of theories that aren't predominant in crypto, really. They're more traditional market theories. So I think that was beneficial. And yeah, I think as long as when you're on the right side of the market, um, it definitely helps. I was very bullish when I first started in the space. I'm sure you can remember. I was quite degenerate. I found it as I think as my account's grown, I found it much more difficult to be um, vocal about risk on. I know a part of me finds it irresponsible, so I err on the side of like mitigating risk than when I first started I didn't really care because I didn't really have any influence, so I was just telling people what I was buying and why you should buy and things. So
Is that because when you joined CT you were trying to make a lot of money, so you were more risk on, and now that you've kind of made it, you're like trying to mitigate risk, or is it because of another reason?
um I guess I don't like the idea or the responsibility of people risking their money based on what I'm saying, really.
Mm-hmm.
I find it a bit irresponsible, really, because no one knows how I trade, really. No one knows what my risk tolerance is, what kind of size I trade, or these kind of things. Like, I think I've always tried to emphasize people learning their own method of trading as opposed to following someone else's. Because everyone's rhythm and like everyone's cadence and rhythm and personality is different, and you've got to try and find a way to trade that matches that cadence. You know. Um,
No, 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 I totally understand. Now that we're talking, because you briefly mentioned that that you're now a bigger account, um, you know, a lot of people are talking about KOLs. Like, you are not a KOL by any means. Like, you don't do any paid tweets.
yeah.
You don't do any promotions of projects. Like, everything that you tweet, at least from my understanding, is from a genuine perspective. Like, you support a project or you really like a product, and then you tweet about it.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of people are not in your position because a lot of people sell out. In the early days, especially to this, or even like at 20,000 followers or something like that, they kind of sell out. But you are in this unique position. Is there like any benefits and downsides that you can share from having such a big account and not selling out that you can share with the people?
Um, well, I guess there's some instances where I'm like, maybe I should have sold out because the amount of shit people get away with, and get like, they just keep coming back from doing shit things. Um,
Basically, crime is legal season.
exactly. And then, I still get shit for being bearish at the wrong time. Like I got it wrong. I admit I got it wrong, and I changed my mind. And again, I kind of got it wrong in a sense of like you fall into when you do get big, you fall into the trap of trying to give people what they want to see. So I kind of didn't. There was a period where I wasn't really looking too rationally at the market. I was kind of trying to look at it through the eye to sort of appear, give what am I trying to say? Because I kind of nailed the two tops. A lot of the people that came to follow me were looking for bearish takes, and then you fall into this trap of trying to consistently give them these takes in order to. It's like an ego thing. You get that engagement, and it's hard to not fall into the trap of trying to get it all the time, if that makes sense.
If I understand it correctly, it's kind of like you're not trying to be correct or you're not trying to be yourself anymore because you have like this kind of how can I say this, like rewarding mechanism of likes and comments and all of
Mm,
that stuff, where you're basically like you're trying to please the people that are following you, but you're not trying. You want to be
exactly.
yourself, but because of the rewarding system that is happening because of social media with the likes and the retweets and the comments and all of that stuff,
Yeah,
instead of tweeting what you want to think, you actually are posting what the people want, but that doesn't mean that it's correct or that's what you're thinking.
exactly.
Am I
It's
understanding it correctly?
totally, and it was so much easier when I had no following, really, because I didn't really care. Like it didn't. There was no sort of repercussion for being wrong, I guess.
I mean,
So yeah, so it took me a while to step back and realize and just look at the market again, um, objectively, really.
is that the reason why you kind of stepped back like the last few years? Like, when we first met, you were like a very active poster, but you were a very small account, so it didn't really
Hmm.
matter. And then you basically got big. Is the reason that you stepped back, from really actively posting from your account, even though that you have amazing credibility because of the podcast, because of your posts, because of good takes and good insights? Is it because of that rewarding mechanism that was like it's kind of like a flawed mechanism at the end of the
Hmm.
day, or is it because of something else?
It's both, and to be honest, it in no way helps my trading. And I genuinely love trading more than anything. Um, and it got to the point where posting was more important and took up more time and energy than trading. So so now it's just negative EV. It doesn't benefit me and my goals in trading really. I'd rather people not know what I'm doing in that sense.
Yeah, you rather be yourself than basically serve the
And and
people.
and again, like it's much easier. Like I think you follow. I've got a private account with a few thousand followers, like a small
Yeah,
following,
correct.
and I'm quite happy posting more openly there. Um, I've been very bullish on that account, which might surprise people. Um, so yeah, I just find it easier. I just find it easier there.
I'm quickly gonna correct myself because I said like, oh, please the people, but I mean, I didn't mean please the people, but no, wait, what did I say? Serve the people, but I meant like please the people, like my statement before, because like you basically, took a step away because you don't want to please you don't want to serve the people. Well, you don't want to please the people, but you do want to serve the people, which was an incorrect statement for me. Lately your career has evolved a lot, and like the past year, I think at least, or even maybe 2 years, you've been affiliated with the Insilico terminal account, and I wanted to basically ask, what is your position over there?
Well, there's no formal position. I was a very early user, and I was basically a high frequency trade user, um, and I basically just gave Azzy quite a few ideas of features that I wanted to see implemented, and there's a few features there that have been implemented based on my needs, which is kind of cool, and they're kind of features that other people find useful, which is fun. So yeah, no formal capacity there, but just in the early stages, just very much giving feedback and changes and things.
What were the features that you basically implemented in Silico Terminal, or basically you were like the motivation, to
Yeah.
implement those features? What were those?
See, I need to remember now because my memory's bad. I can't remember, but I think one of my ideas was the ability to denial mode. When you go, let's say, for example, you go from a $1,000 position to $100,000 position. There's no difference in the trade, and mechanically speaking, the trade's the
But it
same.
becomes more emotional.
Exactly. So I'm pretty sure I asked them. I think it was because of me, to be able to mute any numbers basically, so that I can just solely focus on the price action and the trade as opposed to my fluctuating P&L. Um, and then the other feature was like being able to set limit tranches, a specific percentage from price, because the way I used to like to fill is obviously I like to get in on inefficient candles. So when I hear a spike in the tape in the agger, I can basically click a button to set a tranche of limits like 0.2, 0.5, 1% away from current price. Because when you hear that tape speed pick up, you kind of generally know what the excess would be on the wick, so you can quickly drop some limits, get filled, and close very quickly. So that was another feature. Um, I think I asked him to add the sound effects to order as a joke as well. So it says ooh ooh when you get an order filled now, which is quite funny.
I did actually see like that feature, but I didn't expect that from you.
Yeah.
To be honest, I was expecting some kind of fanboy to recommend that feature, but to be honest, you're kind of a fanboy anyway. So it's pretty cool because like the I forgot what the formal name was, but basically when you didn't see your positions, your UPNL, etc., you basically saw a percentage. Like it didn't matter if it was like 1K or 100K. I see a lot of my friends using that feature. Especially when they want to share profit, like, hey, I had a very good entry, I had a very good exit, like I'm gonna exit at this price, but I basically don't want to share,
Yeah.
basically what my entry and my exit will be. So that's pretty cool. Also, one of the things that I've been constantly seeing, like, to me, it's pretty obvious, but to a lot of people, it is not. A lot of people are asking, like, okay, Insilico Terminal is using like their proprietary data that they're getting from the terminal to basically trade against the users and all of that stuff. While that isn't actually true, because there's actually a pretty obvious business model behind the Insilico terminal. Could you basically give like a brief rundown of what that exactly is to the viewers?
What in terms of how they make money? Or
Yeah, exactly. There's like a certain program, but I don't want to drop the word yet.
I don't even know if I know what you're alluding to, but they basically they have direct. deals with the exchanges they're affiliated with, to where they'll get a rev share basically of whatever you trade there.
Yeah. Basically, a broker program is a correct
Mhm.
term.
Yeah,
Uh, and I wanted to ask if you could give more information about that.
I don't know enough about it, to be honest.
Okay, then I'll skip that question. Insilico Terminal, like they have been implementing centralized exchanges for the longest time. Like I remember them only doing Binance and Bybit for the longest time, but lately they have been moving over to Vertex. They've been moving over to Hyperliquid. What has it doesn't really change that much for them because basically it still works through an API key and through basic SDK, so it's pretty easy to implement. But have you noticed as a power user of the Insilico terminal that anything has changed between the difference between a centralized exchange and a decentralized exchange? And also, what is your personal opinion on centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges?
Well, I think for the longest time, decentralized exchanges just haven't been fast enough to execute. Um, Again, my knowledge on this kind of stuff is limited because I'm just a bit of a noob. Like, I'm basically a front-end user. If it's fast, I like it, and I don't particularly ask questions as to how it's doing it. Um, I don't know how Hyperliquid works, whether it's a decentralized or centralized, but I've been using them, and I'm impressed with, like, if it is a decentralized exchange, it's the first one that actually works, in my opinion. I mean, you probably know more than me because you're smarter than me.
Well, I can assure you that I'm extremely retarded, but if you want to gaslight yourself, then sure. I don't know if you got like the Hyperliquid airdrop at all.
No, I was too late to the party because I'm an idiot, basically.
Well, that's a real skill issue, but you can always try the extended point system. And I will admit, like I cannot share enough, I cannot share details about it. But if you like the Hyperliquid point system, you're going to like the extended point system. Like we have a very similar system, but we do have a few layers on top, which makes it more interesting. Like in V1, it is a little bit limited, and I think like the how can I say it, like the big guns will get pulled out in V2 once we roll out a money market and some other interesting features. You've been in crypto for a little bit. Like I remember you joining like in 2018, 19, whatever. You've seen the industry change a lot. Like and for me personally, like my personal trading strategy has changed like totally. It has been flipped upside down basically.
I mean, it's gotten worse. It's not as fun. There's less opportunity for inefficiency, really. At least when it comes to actively scalping. I don't think you can particularly scalp anymore. Because you just don't get those blowouts. You don't get the excess sort of tails on moves. It's all quite efficient. So I've kind of had to trade a much higher time frame, 4 6 hour, look for the inefficiencies on those time frames instead. Because I don't know, you can just get a sense of there's less sort of human participation, or it might just be a case of the sort of the passive algorithmic sort of flows have taken over to where you just don't see that sort of day-to-day impact of people actually clicking buttons. One of the reasons I used to love trading crypto is because you could basically see how your opponent traded, and there was a lot of edge in that. But it's much more difficult to extract edge in that way now, I think.
Do you think that is because the market got a lot more efficient? Do you think that is because dumb participants who got liquidated on high leverage constantly got blown out, or why do you think the
I
market
think
has evolved in this kind of way?
yeah, I think it's much bigger, more sophisticated participants have taken over now. I still think those degenerates are around, but I think they shift to whichever meta. Because I kind of think people don't realize why they like the market that they trade. Um, I think the reason people enjoy trading meme coins now is because it feels kind of like what trading Bitcoin and altcoins felt like several years ago. It's because it's organic. It's organic price action, and the price movements are dictated by human beings pressing buttons. And I think it's much easier to predict and and react to price when you know that it's at the hand of a human who has human emotions, human responses.
I do understand what you mean, but has it changed you from being a profit-taking maxi? Because one of your, basically your most popular clip ever has been take profit. Whatever you do, take
Yeah,
profit. Like every
I'm
moment, take profit. Has that changed or not?
no, 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 it hasn't. I'm happy to close a trade. I'm still very rotational, and I don't like it. I like trying to capture a rotation as opposed to the idea of, let's say it goes up 5%, comes back 3%, goes up, and I don't, I hate giving that 3% back in unrealized. So I'd rather close still, and then just wait for the next trade. The trades are definitely more infrequent now. So I'm
So if I
targeting bigger
understand.
size rotations, but
So if I understand it correctly, you're focusing on getting the best entry as possible, and then the moment that you have a certain amount of, profit, you basically want to take profit as fast as possible and get out of the trade.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, totally understand. Now, basically, because
I'll
you
give
said
I'll give you
that
an
you,
example of my last trade.
yes,
And again, I think it's a nice example. I got in average entry 210-ish on Solana. And then I got out at I think 230, 231. So, I was kind of targeting the weekly open at 238. Saw some drop in momentum around 231. And my mindset is, um, do I want to ignore that drop in momentum and risk it retracing, 40, 50, 60% of my unrealized? I can either risk that, I'm risking that for an extra like 1.5, 2% profit when I've already captured, I don't know what it was, 7, 10%. Yeah. So that's kind of my mindset. And now I'm in the beautiful position of it's back down at 218 or something. It's probably a good,
217, yeah.
yeah, it's probably a good level to take a punt again. And because I've already locked in that profit, my risk tolerance is higher as well, for the next trade. So that's kind of my mentality.
I see, I see, and especially because you said like you missed hyperliquid, you maybe missed some airdrops in the past, but like regarding what is your point systems? Because a lot of perp DEXs, including extended, like extended is going to launch a point system. I think next week or in 2 weeks or in 3 weeks, whatever. But basically, like there's like a certain demand for it. Do you have any opinion?
I literally have no opinion, honestly. I'm so like, I don't know what the word is. I don't know if it's stubbornness. Um, but it's just not why the idea of any of these things. I know it's stupid, like passing on free money, but I do this for a specific reason, and I do it because I enjoy it. Um, these kind of things of gaming. It's not where I find my joy. I find my joy in buying and selling off the market and taking people's money, basically.
That's a very strange statement to make. Like, I do it for the love of the game rather than to make money. I don't think I've ever heard a trader
Yeah,
say, I'm here for the love of the game rather than
yeah.
I'm here to take money.
I like winning. Yeah, I can't be doing. I've never been interested in this whole idea of farming money out and this kind of extractive ways. I like simple clicking buy, clicking sell, and trying to maximize how much I take out of a trade in that way. Like there's nothing brings me more happiness than like capturing, when you capture more than like
Exactly,
80,
because
85% of a single rotation, and you really don't leave much on each end, like that gives me more enjoyment than farming an airdrop.
Yeah, of course, but like there's a difference between farming an airdrop and then, for example, just doing a trade and then being like, hey, I can execute this trade on an alternative platform that I'm pretty new to. I will give it a try. In exchange, I will get points based via a certain formula, and that will basically be like another, layer of yield added on top.
Yeah.
Because of instead of, if I was trading on Hyperliquid, for example, versus Binance, like I'm getting these points, and then these points convert to tokens, and maybe it's a success, maybe it's a failure. In the case of Hyperliquid, it was an extreme success. So like to me personally, it has always been a little bit strange because like if you trust the platform on the other end, like why wouldn't you execute the trade on there? But maybe I'm being a bitch right now.
No, you're literally totally right. And I know I'm a fool for not doing it, but my brain just isn't wired like that. Like,
He said because you are, because you've all, you've made it to a pretty high success. That you're like, I want to preserve as much money as possible. Like I want to limit the risk as much as possible, and that's why I don't want to, expose myself to a new platform and deposit assets on there in case of like smart contract risk or something else. Or is it because, is it because of another reason?
I don't like change. I think that's what it is. I know what I
So,
enjoy, and I don't particularly, you
so
know,
basically, you're autistic.
I guess so, yeah. And it can be at the
I
detriment
mean,
of myself sometimes, you know. I'm aware of it, but I like the stability and repetition.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, bro. You're sounding autistic as shit at the moment.
Yeah, no, I am, I am. I'll eat the same food every day, this kind of thing. I'm
What are you
very,
eating today?
no, eat. Sorry, eat.
Eat.
You
Yeah,
said eat.
yeah. Sorry, my
Yeah.
bad. No,
Oh,
I meant like, what are you eating today, as in like food. What are you eating today? Because I'm trying to fill the episode. Because I'm not gonna lie, I kind of went through the questions way
no
too
worries.
quickly. So I was like, okay, let me quickly stall the episode for
Well, yeah,
this.
I'll just eat chicken rice and broccoli for like nearly every day, and eggs on
That,
toast for breakfast. It's
that's
just very
surprising
boring.
because you're not a gym bro.
I surprisingly do go to the gym. Well, I've let it go for the last couple of months, but I actually do go to the gym.
What I'm also interested about is like, you grew your account to a certain size. You got like a certain, how can I say it, like presence, under city. You're also part of a, I don't know the name of it, of course, but you're part of a certain project and all of that stuff. Have there been like any benefits to growing to an account and not selling out that you can share to people? Because I'm asking this, one, because I'm curious, and two, because I want to give kind of a signal to the people that are growing their account
Mm,
to not be a bitch and to
yeah,
not sell out to the next scam. And I want to give them some kind of motivation to not do that because it's starting to really annoy me in the current meta that everyone sells themselves out for $5.
there's no greater feeling than success whilst maintaining integrity, I think. I think success without integrity will always leave you feeling like you don't have anything at all. And I kind of feel like, when you go to the conference spaces and stuff, which you've been to, I've met you there. Um, you're surrounded by very materialistically successful people that just seem hollow and empty, and they've bypassed the struggle. Like struggle's the best part of succeeding. Um, the more difficult and adverse the journey, the better the reward tastes. And I think people have sold out to get the reward as quickly as possible, and then they're left feeling very empty and goalless and soulless.
I mean, I
So
can definitely agree to that. Of like the end goal of being like, if you have a money goal, then you indeed feel soulless and empty. Like I have been there personally multiple times. Like before FTX, I reached it. After FTX, I've reached it. But at the end of the day, like if your goal is, because you said materialistic successful, I would personally not even call it that. I would say materialistic driven people. Like they all want the same watch, they all
yeah,
want the same car, they want to show off. But at the end of the day, congratulations, you are showing up at a conference. You're like, I'm a unique guy. I've made it. here is my watch, here is my car, and then you see 10 other people with the same car, the
Yeah.
same watch, and you don't even know if your watch is a fake or not. It's always the same fucking bullshit.
And like
Um,
I think the one thing that I've always maintained is with everything I've done in my life is money's only ever a byproduct of pursuing my goals and passions. Um, so the key is to make sure you're doing what you enjoy. Um, and then any monetary success you get from that is just a bonus. It's, it's not, it shouldn't be your main goal and focus to make money, I don't think. I trade because it's the
for a
greatest
moment.
video game. There used to be days where I would just trade small size just to trade, and I didn't even care what the outcome was. I just love clicking buttons, and it's kind of like it was like going on, let's say, like a kill streak. It was like, how many rotations can I get in a row before I take a loss, kind of thing. Can I hit every rotation in this move from point A to point B on the low time frame? Um, and it's that's why I did it.
No, I totally get what you mean. Like it's a thing of like, you, especially if you come from like a poorer background, it's like, hey, if I reach a certain goal, then I will be important type of thing. You want to
Mhm.
fulfill that certain goal, and then the moment that you actually reach that certain goal, you realize that that is not the end goal of life, and then you feel empty because it's, this is what you've been aiming for all your life, and it kind of feels like you've hit the end level of a game and you just beat at it, and
Yeah.
now you don't really know what to do. So now you have to find something else, but it's not monetary, it's not materialistic. It is, a more personal matter, which makes it a lot more complex. I think like a lot of people that originally got in crypto got blinded by the money, got blinded by the monetary value, and totally forgot what crypto was saying about and what it actually meant. Like
Hmm.
I see so many people now pivoting, you know, to the money part, but at the end, even though they made it or maybe they didn't make it, they don't care about the decentralization. They're not excited anymore about certain products. They don't care anymore. And I find that, because you are mainly a trader, like, oh, what is your personal relationship with crypto, and how do you feel about, the part of decentralization, and that it's actually, like, how can I say it, censorship resistant, because at the current state, because we are both in Europe, I don't think you mind me saying that, but basically we are, for example, in threat of Russia. So, for example, crypto has a lot of benefits at the moment because in case that the government decides to seize all of our assets, we are pretty safe because we are in crypto. And you see Russia, for example, considering crypto more as a legal tender than ever because of regulations and sanctions and all of that other stuff.
Yeah. Um, what do I think? I don't love it I don't love it like I did. The reasons I got into it were very much anti-establishment reasons. And now it's basically pro-establishment. um, we're going up now because the establishment is basically infiltrating it and using it. So, in a
When you
sense,
say pro-establishment, you mean like through ETFs and all of that stuff?
yeah, it's basically being adopted by the people that I wanted to be against, really. I hate sort of bureaucracy and
So you hate, how can I say it? You hate those parties, but because they've now joined crypto and they are pumping your bags from a speculation perspective, you support them in that kind of way. Am
I
I
no,
wrong or right
I
in
don't.
that?
I'm indifferent now. I don't particularly care anymore. My care now in this industry is the community and building community. um, helping people create friend networks, because I think that's one thing that people struggle with in this space is we very much all started in as basement dwellers with, socially lacking sort of autistic people like myself. And I've met some great people that far exceeds any tech or, you know, interest in the thing we're all sort of intertwined in, if that makes sense.
Do you want to talk about the thing? Because I personally wanted to ask questions about that, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to.
I mean, we can try. I can't say much. But I mean, all I can say is that the reason I'm involved is because of that reason. I've seen the benefit and joy of bringing people together, creating networks of people to share life experience with outside of a computer. So it's very fulfilling for me, giving people a safe space to make friends, basically. Um,
Yeah, you're not giving me an easy time as a host at the moment, but I'll try to ask. Yeah, I mean, you're a cunt anyway, so we both know that. But how can I ask questions about this? Like, anyways, you have this, when we're talking about community, right? Can you talk a little bit, maybe, perhaps, about growing a community, what it is to be a community, and how can I say it, like, how one can trust each other in this anonymous ecosystem. I think that those are some three, important factors, that is, part of what you are working on, but I'm not allowed to say it. But anyways, we can always cut it out anyways if you don't want that to be in.
yeah. Um, so, well, I think one of my views with people in general is I think most people are inherently good. You might have a general persona on the internet and stuff, but it's amazing when you meet people in person that everyone's almost everyone's aim is to be nice, okay, and to be friendly. Um, and I think one of the reasons I'm interested in this sort of community building is we're basically it's a group of misfit young mid-20-year-olds that have made enough money to where they alienated themselves from the rest of their age group. Um, so the idea of creating a space for them to build friendships and experiences is the main reason, really. I don't know if that answers the question or just re-answers the same question.
Well,
Um,
it does at least feel something.
yeah. Um, as far as trust goes, how can you trust people?
I mean, there is a certain system in place at the moment. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's up
yeah,
to. But I'm not part of the
yeah. I'm not
organization.
going to say any like. I'm happy to talk
Yeah,
about my importance of
that's the
community
difficult
building.
part, right?
Yeah, yeah. Um, but I can't really talk about the mechanics of what we're doing until it's a bit later down the road. Um, but yeah, I'm happy to talk about my passion for it and why I'm doing it. I'm at that stage now where, again, when it comes to like not posting on Twitter and stuff, I'm at that point now where I've been working on my own personal growth and development in all
It,
aspects, and now I feel I'm at that point now where I want to help incubate and grow something that's bigger than me, really, that helps
it,
benefit
is
everyone.
that personal growth because you've made it in crypto and realized, like, you had this, like we said before, like there is this monetary goal and now you've reached it, and then you realize, like, hey, there's a lot more beyond that, and now you're working towards that? Or what do you exactly mean by that?
I guess it's like legacy is an important thing. There's no real legacy in trading or anything. I don't think it's very self.
You can still
self
have a legacy and be a trader.
you can, but it's just
Like
very
I'm
unfulfilling, I think.
I don't think it's
I don't think it really
unfulfilling.
benefits anyone else. No, it's very fulfilling, but it doesn't benefit anyone else.
No, but you can like there are things that you can do. Like once you made it with money, there are other goals that you can have. Like you can stand for justice. That you can do other stuff. Like for example, with me, like I don't need the money, but I'm still going after Mr. Beast, for example,
Yeah,
and that, for example, is fulfilling, and it build. It's not really a legacy, but it's like one stone in the building. You know,
yeah.
towards that goal of like ruining scammers and ruining other people, or like I'm personally not really a destroyer beside the competition, but I prefer to build stuff,
I think,
and going further, and I
I,
think
th
I
I
have the
think,
feeling that you also want to go there.
yeah, I think the thing for me is if I stop trading, it stops there. Like as far as like lasting legacy. Whereas if I incubate and help build something that outlasts my time there, that benefits people, then it's much more rewarding, I think, at this point in my life.
And like beyond that, is there anything you want to do more? Like, is
Um,
there, because you are a successful person. Like, I've known you personally for a long time. You are interesting, you are passionate, but it's kind of like the thing, if you're not interested in that specific subject, you really don't care and you just move on to the next thing.
mhm.
So I am questioning, like, what is the next thing for Mr. Jim? What is the next thing for the cat?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm very passionate about this thing we're doing as far as community driven thing. As far as selfish personal goals, um, there's nothing on the horizon. The only two things that I've never really delved into that I'm deeply passionate about is art and music. So I'm sure at some point in my life they will take center stage. I guess when I've got less energy than I do now to be actively doing things. So yeah.
Totally understandable. Like, my
Mm.
last question is, can you meow for me?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much. But can you give me one last meow?
Oh my God. Well, you know what's funny is my girlfriend's just sat over there and she's probably wondering what the
Yes.
fuck I'm doing. Meow. There you go. That's
Thank
that
you very
one.
much. Hey,
That's,
your girlfriend knows me. Your
yeah, it's
girlfriend
true.
knows me. I still don't know why she settled with you, but I'm very happy very happy she did.
I know, me
Uh,
too.